All right, let's get started. Welcome everybody on the call, and welcome to this webinar, Low Code Smart Apps for the Energy and Utilities Industry. I'll be your moderator today. We'll do a quick round of introductions shortly. This is a joint webinar together with Siemens, and for those folks interested in Siemens' latest technology, its low-code platform Mendix, and this is in particular around the energy and the utilities industry. For those who are not familiar, Siemens acquired Mendix back in October 2018, and TimeSeries is considered one of the leading Mendix and Siemens partners. And obviously, we've got a lot of experience in the field, in particular as well in the energy domain, that we would love to share with you guys today, and share that knowledge for a broader audience. It's a 1-hour session. This will be recorded. We will share the recording as well after the webinar. There will be a live Q&A at the end of the session. So please add your questions in the chat box, and please connect with us directly as well if you have any other questions after the webinar. There might be a little bit of a delay per slide, which we will aim to correct when we put the video online. And obviously a disclaimer, I guess, for those who are presenting today. They are working from home, so there might be some background noise, but that shouldn't be a problem at all. Let's get started with a quick round of introductions. So on my end, I'll be the moderator, Vincent de Lamar, for today's session. I'm based in Boston, and I lead the sales organization here at TimeSeries. I do actually have a Mendix background. I set up the North American office for Mendix back in 2008, and been there for a little over 11 years with a lot of experience in the go-to-market solutions and working with customers, smaller, medium, as well as the largest companies worldwide. After the Siemens acquisition, I joined TimeSeries to apply some of the ideas I have in the industry with a very talented and bright, experienced team of Mendix developers here at TimeSeries. So excited to share the information today. We also have a great guest speaker today, John Lusty, who is up north in Canada. John, would you mind doing a quick introduction on your end, and of course, welcome to this webinar.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Vince. Hello, everybody. My name is John Lusty, and I lead global marketing for the energy and utilities industry here at Siemens Digital Industries Software, and I live up in Calgary in Western Canada. I've been in the energy industry for over 25 years, with the first half of my career working in and around plants and facilities with companies like Dow Chemical and Nalco Chemicals. So I'm a utilities nerd and love aqueous chemistry. I moved to the software industry in the early 2000s, and I've worked in the energy trading risk management space, then over to Bentley Systems in the engineering software world before joining Siemens in 2012. And since coming to Siemens, I've worked in enterprise sales, industry solutions and strategy, and now I'm helping out in industry marketing. I'm glad to be here and helping our TimeSeries partners today.
Yeah, great. And it's very valuable that you both have the industry experience as well as the software experience on the Siemens side. So welcome to this webinar. Yetro, you'll be joining us today as well. I believe you also prepared a demo. Want to do a quick introduction on your end?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Vince. My name is Yetro Borsje. I'm CTO of TimeSeries. I'm located in the Netherlands, and well, I've been our CTO for a few years now. I have a background in both IoT, for IT in general, IoT specifically, and also in economics. And I've been working with various utilities companies in Europe to see what we can do with, for example, their smart meter data. How can we make the grid smarter, but also how can we make data-driven services for their end users a reality, and what kind of value can we get from that? So that's my experience in this domain.
Yep. We've got a full agenda today, so let's go over what we will discuss. First, about TimeSeries, what we have accomplished so far. And actually, the company was founded based in the energy utilities market around smart meters. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Then we move on to specifically Siemens, and John will talk about what Siemens is doing in the energy space, as well as some of the trends in the industry. and how that ties back to the acquisition of Mendix and where Mendix really shines related to software and solutions in this industry. The third component we'll discuss today is it's great to have a low-code platform, but what can you actually do with it? So it really is the app versus the platform conversation, where we've launched a smart app suite specifically for the energy market. And Yetro will go over about half a dozen of use cases as well as templates, and then we'll move to a demo during this session as well. And we'll then wrap it up with an overview of what we can offer, how we can help, not only for Siemens, not only for Siemens partners, but most importantly for you, the end customer in the industry. And we'll wrap it up with a live Q&A. Okay, so let's get started. Yetro, I already mentioned it. TimeSeries was actually founded and started the company in the energy and utilities industry. Would you mind going back to the roots and giving a quick overview of TimeSeries? And you might be muted, Yetro.
Hi, sorry, yes, excuse me, yeah. So a quick intro about TimeSeries, right. As you can see by now, we're a global company, but actually we started a little under 10 years ago when the smart meter actually hit the Nordics and the Netherlands and Denmark and Germany. And what we saw is that a lot of our customers back then, they were using traditional technology to capture data from these smart meters. And they were struggling because it's way too much data to handle with your traditional systems, like such as Oracle or whatever relational database. So we said, well, we think we can do this better. We founded TimeSeries with the whole premise of building a platform from bottom up, focusing on gathering smart meter data and creating insights out of those. And in computer science, the concept is called a time series, so values over time, hence our name. And once we've done that, what we saw is that it actually was much broader applicable than just smart meters, because the entire IoT trend started to happen, and basically a smart meter is just an IoT device. So what we saw is, well, if we do that, we might as well capture data from elevators or from ventilators or from air conditioning units. So we broadened our scope. We were working with IoT, and then we saw Mendix. And Mendix, the low-code platform, which is now part of Siemens, we saw it as a really valuable tool to unleash all of this IoT data in terms of actionable insights. So we're converting IoT data to real value for customers. And with Mendix on top of our IoT platform, we visualize all of this data. So that's how we started. We are based in the Netherlands, but we have also offices in Germany, in Munich, of course, because of the Siemens connection. But also in various locations in the US and in Canada even as well. So we're actually rapidly expanding.
Yep. And if we look at the offering and the services that TimeSeries provides, can you elaborate on the services side as well as on the solution side?
Yeah, sure. So what we did actually from the very beginning is we said, well, we see a lot of repetitive challenges at our customers. So let's not try to solve them once again every time. Let's make template solutions which you can reuse across of these customers. For example, we will show you a bit or explain a bit more about our templates in the utilities industry later. But so what we did is we are making these configurable application templates which you can use to solve common problems in various domains and areas. And besides that, we also deliver services with these templates, so even with or without. So we have many customers who use Mendix strategically for digital transforming their own companies, and we supply services for them. So we help them actually getting the most of the value out of the Mendix low-code platform.
Yep. And right now, this is specifically around energy and the gas as well as the utilities industry. What I understand is that we're offering vertical smart app suites. What does that mean, and what does that mean for a utility or energy company?
So what we did is in the beginning we had various cross-industry templates alone. So, for example, we were able to plan field service engineers using artificial intelligence, or we did things with optimizing a warehouse using RFID and QR code technology. But we realized that if you look at industries, they have specific industry problems which you can solve in a smart way. So we started to organize these application templates into vertically oriented smart app suites. That's how we call them. Where we say, here we have a package of various applications which often also communicate to each other or have a common base, and they solve various issues in your industry. So, for example, in utilities, but also in manufacturing or in marine.
Yes, and so this is really the example, and also based on what I've seen in the market, you get the benefit of a low-code platform where you can very rapidly customize applications or deploy applications, but you also have functionality already out of the box, specifically to certain domains, specifically towards certain industries. So it really is the speed with off-the-shelf solutions and the flexibility what you typically see with custom development. Okay, let's move on. I see a wide variety of customers here. One or two that you want to highlight, Jethro, before we jump into specifically on the energy market?
Yeah, sure. So I often say not a lot of people know TimeSeries, but everybody knows our customers. So what you see here is just is a selection of the customers. Which ones, the ones I find interesting, for example, in the US, ConocoPhillips and Phillips 66, companies who are, of course, in this energy utilities domain, who are leveraging Mendix as strategic platform to do their digital transformation. So I think those are really cool companies to look at. Another company in Europe is Eneco, one of our biggest customers over here. And for them, we are handling all the smart meter data for a little under 3 million customers. So that's a lot of data. It's billions of measurements every day. And we provide them with all that data different services. So I think those are interesting cases. But there are also cases here around predictive maintenance, about using Mendix together with SAP and Teamcenter. So there's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah. What I love about this is that you see cross-industry certain themes, but then you also see specifically in industries and sub-industries certain features and functionalities that you can then apply in another industry. So that experience that's horizontal all of a sudden becomes applicable in a vertical domain. Great. Well, thanks, Jethro, for that background. Let's move on to Siemens. John, Siemens, large organization, and you're one of the team members specifically focused on energy and utilities. What do you see in the industry, the energy industry, and what does Siemens actually offer?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, Vince. And so, before I get talking about the key trends, I just did the quick math on one of Jetro's slides there, where I saw 250 plus years of experience on the TimeSeries side. And I've been around here for about 25 years. So that makes you guys about 10 times smarter than me. So I am delighted to be here and to have you guys backing me up, because that sounds like the odds are on my side. So thank you. So first thing I want to do is do a level set in terms of the key trends we're following here at Siemens Digital Industry Software. So when we look at the energy and utilities industry, which, as we talked about earlier, is the industry that I work in, there are several transformational trends that are marking significant turning points in how energy will be produced and supplied. These are currently reshaping the engineering and production operations for energy industry participants. And we see 4 key trends that we're following very, very closely. First, digital transformation is creating a significant shift towards personalized products and customized services across all industries, you name it. And this is also affecting energy and utilities as well. So today, energy companies are challenged to digitally design, build, and operate smarter assets and facilities that support business and operational excellence. And because the demands of industry knowledge and the business environment are so immediate, there's added pressure to innovate quickly and react to changes even faster. The market dynamics of the energy and utilities business have never been more volatile, and we're all seeing the headlines for For example, if we look at the oil and gas industry today, the price of crude oil today is about $26 a barrel, and that represents more than a 50% decline in price in just 2 months. What other industries need to endure this level of price volatility? And power comes to mind, which is why this is such a great audience. Also, the capital project market runs parallel to the business cycle and is now under very severe pressure, and the multiplier effect of that, to say nothing for COVID, is going to be very substantial. And topping that off, the availability of investment funds for these capital-intensive businesses has become very, very tight. And at the same time, the individual notions of environmental, social, and governance have coalesced into a single new concept called ESG, and its importance is only going to continue to rise. This trend towards sustainable energy is creating evolutionary forces such as technology disruption, societal changes, and investor preferences. And companies that can sustainably innovate and adapt are going to prosper in the long term. Companies that cannot and decline are going to face possible extinction, and we've already seen some of that in the recent market events. So lastly, every facet of the energy business is becoming not only more global, but also more globally sensitive. Global opportunities to supply energy, global competitive bids for projects, assets, systems, services, global collaboration on projects, global benchmarks, and global best practices. As I said, not everybody's going to succeed in this environment, but for those who can use digitalization as a critical enabler and conquer the complexity that comes with it, global opportunities exist. So success can be accelerated with digital transformation, and leading companies have got to become catalysts for change. And Vince, if I could get you to hit the next slide, please.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say, John, that this the central theme is operational efficiency?
Yes.
That is the core theme right now, cost cutting and doing more with less?
Well, and I like your focus on efficiency, Vince, compared to just cost cutting, because at the end of the day, there's only so much meat on the bone. Other industries have faced existential crises, and with COVID, we're all in it today. But the energy efficiency has got to embrace the complexity that's coming at them. And one of the things I like about this slide, I call this the paint splatter slide, is that you look at the world of information systems and available data that's out there, and if we could just make sense of it. And that's where I think this Mendix discussion is so timely, because in reality, the challenges of the energy industry, regardless whether your industry segment or the type of business you're running, are all the result of this one common factor that we're talking about here: complexity. We've had an explosion of complexity, and we got to try to find meaning in the chaos in order to gain those insights. The true disruptors in our industry won't be those who are trying to limit that complexity. At Siemens, we believe you need to move faster to bring innovative technologies that support your customers quicker than your competition. We want to lower engineering costs as well as decrease operations and maintenance costs. And we also need to create new business and operating models to out-innovate our competition and build differentiation through insights, and especially those that are not easily duplicated. So at Siemens, go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, I love the theme of going fast, but it's fast in the right direction, right? And I think that's where you're going. Yeah.
Yes. So bullets are fast, right? We got to make sure they're aimed shots, right? So we need both speed and accuracy to support our companies through some of these tough times and give that resilience. So we believe that businesses that's the ones that are going to succeed will be those who embrace this complexity and transform this complexity into a competitive advantage. So if we can move to the next slide. So we accomplished this at Siemens. I want to give you the larger view at Siemens, and I want to take everybody to why did we do what we did with Mendix, and emphasize why the work that TimeSeries is doing is so important. So coming back to complexity, we turn that complexity into competitive advantage through three key components in our strategy. We believe that, again, true leaders in the energy space, the disruptors, are going to thrive in this complexity, and will take advantage, take advantage of these three things to turn it into a competitive advantage. So we bring the most comprehensive digital twin of your assets. Companies can operate more flexible and connected facilities to accommodate a wider range of plant and system performance, enabling faster responses as market conditions change. And this is especially critical in the utility space. Modern, adaptable, and personalized solutions, and this is where Mendix starts to fit into our strategic story. Siemens is helping the energy industry meet the challenges of global workforce diversity and multiple cross-discipline collaboration to develop equipment and systems and material in scope, on time, and under budget. And then lastly, again, supporting the Mendix story, an open, flexible ecosystem. So we have an open digital strategy at Siemens. We don't believe in proprietary file format for all of the energy industry stakeholders and service providers to align with their ultimate customers' processes and expand upon the value they provide while contributing to the customer's bottom line. If we could go to the next one, Vince.
Yep.
So I'm going to throw a big word at everybody. So we bring these competitive advantages into our software portfolio that we call Accelerator. Accelerator is our entire integrated portfolio of software services and an application development program, which is so key. It encompasses all digital industry software products and technologies. An Accelerator can be personalized and adapted. Remember, we talked about the key trends. Personalized and adapted to fit customer and industry specific needs to help companies of all sizes become digital enterprises. So if your organization embraces these three concepts, we believe you'll be well positioned to meet tomorrow's challenges today. And a key component of the Accelerator portfolio is Mendix. If you go to the next one, Vince. So now transitioning into the Mendix part of the story, as a result of the relentless pace of change, and I don't think any of us have seen change like what we're seeing right now. And I'm reminded, Vince, there was a great quote from Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, I saw from a couple of weeks ago, where he said, just in the last 2 months, the world of Microsoft, which you would think would be digitally as advanced as they come, they've compressed 2 years of digitalization into 2 months. There's just incredible things happening right now. But in the energy business, as a result of the amount of change that we were going through before all of this even started, there's a real disconnect between business and IT. IT departments, and I trust we have a lot of IT people on the line here, have made giant gains by adopting agile processes for development, moving it to the cloud, but there's still a misalignment, and that challenge is going to grow. There was a Gartner study that showed that with a 5x increase in the need for apps, we've had a 5x increase in the need for apps to solve problems, and yet we have less than 1% unemployment rate in tech. So coding faster or adding additional resources is not really the solution, especially in today's environment. So we've absolutely got to change this paradigm. So I think this is just such a critical point. Instead of looking at CIOs and IT departments as the provider of digital solutions, we need to transform CIOs and IT to be the enabler of the business. If we can enable the business to participate in their own rescue, not only do we add a ton of resources without increasing the IT spend, we also eliminate the communication gap between business domain experts and IT. This is the real solution and the founding idea of Mendix. So last one more slide, Vince. So at the highest level, Mendix enables you to build applications in a fraction of a time and using a fraction of the resources used by more traditional programming tools. Rapid application development enables domain experts from across your business to unlock both the core data and systems to help drive your competitive advantage. At the same time, IT stays control over all aspects of development, delivery, risk, and compliance, because we all know there's security issues and we've got to retain control. So Vince, how about you pick it up from here and talk about the TimeSeries perspective and how your team and low code can help our listeners take advantage of complexity. Vince?
Yeah, thanks for walking us through that journey from such a big organization like Siemens, and then specifically tying it back to the energy space. Before we head over to Yetro to talk about examples, right? So we know the story around complexity. We know the story around the gap between business and IT, the ever-growing need for applications, and then where Mendix as a platform can bridge that gap. Before we do that, Yetro, what's your perspective on the complexity that Jan just highlighted in the energy utility space, and then using that to your advantage with perhaps mobile and web initiatives? What do you see in the reality?
Yeah, that's I think it was a very strong point, because what I see when I'm working at my customers is that the complexity is indeed ever increasing, and it's coming from different angles. One is that it's hard to make real money out of only selling kilowatt hours, so you need to be very keen on indeed operational efficiency. But at the same time, these utilities companies try to employ new business models. So, for example, how can I sell the insights I gain out of different services as an additional service? So, with a new business model, new revenue streams. But you also have regulatory requirements. You have the whole sustainability push out of governments, but also out of society itself. So there's so much going on, and I think you need to basically play chess on many different boards at the same time and make sure you win everywhere. And I really think that's where Mendix shines, because like John just said, you need speed. But if you need speed, you also need accuracy. Otherwise, you really you get into disasters, right? And with Mendix, because you can work so well with business and IT collaboratively, you get this accuracy. So I think it's a really, really good summary of what I see on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we position Mendix as that platform to deliver your differentiating and innovative applications, it drives straight up to the value proposition of almost simplifying your complexity. So what I've seen in the last 12, 13 years is that the sweet spot for Mendix are really custom applications, often workflow driven, that sit on top of multiple underlying data sources. And that multiple underlying data sources can be your ERP systems, can be your CRM, can be a complete PLM system or multiple instances of your PLM. That in itself is complex, your existing IT landscape. So having that aggregation layer on top of it, almost unlocking the backend for differentiation and innovation, that is the value proposition that Mendix really offers. So Yetro, let's make this more specific. What we've also seen is that people are intrigued with low code. It's a growing market. The platform itself is very strong, but we do see that people struggle a little bit where to start. So we came up with smart app suites, specific templates that allow you in specific domains to have a quick start. Use that template, start customizing it, whether it's the UI, UX, the domain model, the connection, the integration on the back end, or perhaps even your workflows to get results faster. Do you have some of these examples, and can you make this more specific for the energy industry?
Yeah, definitely. Let me share my screen. Yeah, can I share? I will share my screen so I can dive straight into the demo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me make you presenter.
Sure. Do you guys see my screen at this point? Yeah, yes. I think there it is, right? Cool.
Correct.
So yeah, thanks for this outline. So what is important to stress here as well, before we dive into these details, is that with Mendix we built truly multi-experience applications. So it's not only something you run on your desktop, because it can also run on your mobile device. You can integrate voice assistants or chatbots. So it's really about facilitating the end users with a complete customer journey around, for example, how they interact with you as an energy company, for example. So it's really about much more than just building a simple app. You really look at it from a bigger picture if you talk about Mendix as a low-code platform. I think that's important to stress. But if you look at this here, so this is what we've done. We've been building for quite some time now what we call application templates. And an application template is basically a fully functioning application which is solving, let's say, a common problem in your specific area, for example, in the utilities industry or in energy. And we have grouped the templates in a similar industry together in what we call a smart app suite. So what you're seeing right here are the templates in our energy smart app suite. And the idea of these templates is that they contain like 80 or 90% of the functionality you need, but every company is unique. And we like to, and as this complexity. So we like to harness this complexity and this uniqueness you have. I want to turn it into a competitive advantage. So with these templates, there are templates, so we customize them with Mendix in a really fast way to let them meet your needs. So you won't be stuck in this SaaS kind of a way, which only works in one way, and otherwise you have to change your company. No, we can adapt the template, we customize it, we do the last mile, if you will, and we do this by using Mendix as the tool to do it, and then the template will be yours in terms of it will function how your company wants to function. So it's really about customizing templates, while at the same time reusing these components we already have. So these are the templates we have. We will run through them in more detail, but what you see basically here is we try to aim for two of the roles you see in utilities or energy. On the top, you see things which are more geared towards utilities companies, so people who are companies who actually sell power or gas to consumers or to businesses, and who also want to be in the business of having data-driven services on top of it, to how are you be smart with the data you have from the grid. So it was about smart grids, smart buildings, that area. On the bottom, you see more templates which are relevant for the asset owners in the energy and utility space. So think about owners of power plants or solar panel fields or windmill parks. Those kinds of companies, they have different challenges. Their challenges are in the area of maintenance, about field service engineering, about spare parts. So that's a different domain, but they're still in the same industry. So you see this division kind of in our template suite, that there are templates for both of these players in the market. What I would like to do is run through some of these templates with you, so you have an idea of what we're actually doing in reality. So first up is meter data management. This one is about gathering information from smart meters, which are being deployed around the world, actually more and more every day. In fact, I just came off a call with a company from Afghanistan. So even those kinds of countries, they are now deploying smart meters to improve their grids. But with the deployment of smart meters comes lots of data. So this is actually why even our company was founded. This is why we exist. What we do is we gather all this smart meter data, and based on that, we can do predictions towards the future. We can give your customers insight in how they use energy. We can tell them how sustainable they are or what they can do to become even more sustainable. And we can do this for really large amounts of data. We can keep all the data, and we can create all kinds of value out of it. One of the things we often aim for is to reduce churn. So we want to stop people from leaving utilities companies. And we also allow these utilities companies to employ new business models. One of our customers actually created a completely new revenue stream on top of our data-driven services, because we're now selling these insights as an additional thing. So, and people actually want to go there because they want to become more sustainable. This is the time to do this. So this is a good example of what we do there as a template. And this is the idea. So we combine data from all these different sources. Of course, we've been talking about smart meters. In the future, we can even do real-time analytics with streaming data from the energy meter, although this is not there yet in many countries. We're doing some pilots here in Europe, by the way. But you also have many customers which still have a lot of their customer base still hooked on conventional meter, so manual data entry. And we can combine all of these different data streams into one system. And when the customer has this journey from conventional meters to smart meters and even to streaming data, we can facilitate them along the way. There's one unified platform, one unified application, and your historic data won't get lost, but you just get better insights over time. And I think this is one of the strong points of our meter data management system, that it focuses on all these different types of meters you have. Another example is grid balance management, because as you probably know, balancing the grid is a task in itself. In Europe, this is highly regulated. There are many interfaces and message patterns and things floating around between power grid operators, between the power plant owners, between the utilities companies. And what we've built is a system which can interact in that domain, which can do all the messaging, but this also allows you as a utilities provider to have an overview of your entire portfolio, and it can show you what the breakdown of your portfolio is. So why am I buying or selling energy? What are my top users or the bottom ones, which deviate largely from the profile I've estimated for them? So where am I actually losing money because I estimated them too high or too low? How can I adjust the amount of power I'm buying based on this stuff? So this is much more about balance management and also about an economic standpoint out of that. So how can we make sure we're doing the right thing? And it's all based on the same data, actually, because data still comes from smart meters. So it's the same platform underneath, but it's just a different use case on top of this platform.
Well, and you bring up a good point there, Yetro. That is really the app layer on top of the data aggregation layer, right? So having a low-code differentiating approach, once you have the data, you can use it for different domains and different use cases, whether it's towards the consumer, whether it's towards your partner network, or even internally. And most importantly, it's not just a visualization, but you can also make this data actionable. Going into the field, once you see that there is a loss or there needs to be a certain repair taking place, you can have then a simple offline mobile application for your field services tied directly into these applications.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Yeah, yeah. All right. So if we continue in this part, because you can imagine, as Vince mentioned correctly, the app layer. Once you have that data in, you can look at it from different angles. So, for example, instead of focusing on customers or energy consumers as your customer, you can also look at entire buildings and see, well, how energy efficient is this building I'm managing or I'm responsible for. I've been doing some cases in the Netherlands, and this is mostly fueled out of sustainability angle. So there are rules and regulations here in the Netherlands. When you own a building, you must be sustainable up until a certain point. So this template helps building owners or facility management companies even to get into grips with the energy which is being consumed in their building. And you can imagine that utilities companies can sell these kinds of insights to these building owners. So it could be a completely different or new service which you can employ, still again on top of the same data, this energy data which you have floating around due to these smart meters. So it's another template which we have. And I will show some of that later in the demo. Furthermore, renewable energy. Of course, this is a very challenging topic actually, because we all know that your gas or coal-fueled power plants, they work nicely and they are very, very stable. But if you go towards renewable energy, like windmills or solar farms, there are really high peaks and deep lows in terms of how much energy they produce. However, the consumers of these utilities companies, they need power when they need it. They're not going to wait to start up their trains, for example, or to start their factories until the wind starts to blow. So we have a big disconnect between the production and consumption side. And we have built an application which we use to actually make very transparent when there is green energy or when we expect there to be green energy, and we compare that to on individual consumer level to how they consume the energy, so production versus consumption, and we can say how sustainable is your usage the last day, the last week, the previous hour, or how sustainable do we predict your consumption to be tomorrow. And this is mostly out of the sustainability things that company wants to do, that they use kinds of dashboards to show to their stakeholders or the stock owners or the employees how sustainable they are. And account managers at utilities companies, they try to use these kind of tools to, for example, say, we see that you have a certain usage behavior. We also very well know, of course, the production schedules of solar panels, for example, because of the solar hours on average. So we can advise you to buy so many solar power panels additionally to become this and this more sustainable. And then we can afterwards also, with the same dashboard, show them what the impact was of that investment. So it's also a tool, again, for utilities and providers to sell additional things. In this case, for example, solar. So that's also something we do, again, based on the same data and the tools, the data analytics tools we have underneath.
Yeah. So Yetro, if we look at some of the other use cases, and we look at domains as a result of exposing this data. What other type of domains do we have templates as a result and more as an actionable application?
Yeah. So which other domains? So for example, we use the same type of technology to predict when elevators need maintenance, or we use the same type of technology to see how cranes of Mammoet, a big crane company, or are they behaving in the field, and if we may need to adjust certain settings. So we use this type of technology with Mendix on top for various different domains and industries.
Yeah. And then it's not just an isolated app, right? It's also connected to existing systems on the back end. I believe you have an example connected to SAP and also a PLM like Teamcenter.
Yeah, this one here, that's a good point, because we've been focusing now on the energy smart meter side of it all. But if you go further with Mendix, what you'll see is it's really easy to integrate many different systems across the board. So one of our other templates is much more for asset owners. So imagine you own a windmill, for example. What you want there is you want to connect your Teamcenter data, where you may have your as-maintained bill of materials, where you've engineered a thing, and you want to combine the data you have in there together with your SAP inventory information, for example, to automate the part replacement process, to make sure inventory is always up to date, but also to make sure that your bill of materials stays up to date, because it's just something I see going wrong at many companies. They have this nice bill of materials, but after 5 years in the field, nobody knows anymore which actual component parts are placed inside of the windmill due to maintenance. So with this type of application, we place Mendix on top of SAP and on top of Teamcenter, and we make sure that we keep both core systems underneath up to date. And this is being used by asset owners, so companies who own power plants and stuff like that, and who need to do maintenance. This ties into the bigger suite story, because this part replacement thing is something a field service engineer does. But with predictive maintenance, like I mentioned for the elevators, but for many different assets as well, what we see there is first we gather the data, we see something breaks down. The predictive maintenance app creates a ticket in our field service management application, which I think is the next one here. Our field service planning tool, it will say to the engineer, well, listen, you need to fix a ticket, and then you go back to the part replacement app, and that will help you to figure out which parts you need to take from inventory. So it's really about a suite of applications talking together. That can be in the smart meter domain, like we've previously discussed, but that can also be in the maintenance domain, where you have field service planning, but also is predictive maintenance. So it's really a suite of applications working together on many different devices, also even offline in the field.
Exactly, and that's really, it doesn't really matter where you start, which domain has the highest priority, but all those domains ultimately are tied together. In the interest of time, I know time flies when you're having fun, but in the interest of time, we definitely want to see something. So when you're preparing your demo, Yetro, perhaps John, when you see these templates, when you see these use cases, how does this tie back to the Siemens proposition around making complexity actually a true differentiator?
Well, it's such a critical element of the story, because I've talked to many companies where maybe they've already invested in hundreds or maybe even thousands of structured applications, but they struggle to find, that they've got 5 elements of data that are in 5 different systems and they can't bring it all together. And the answer is to, make up your own spreadsheet. So you wind up with thousands and thousands of spreadsheets supporting a facility or an operation or a business. And I just think the low code environment is tremendously exciting, because I've never seen a time where IT has the ability to be able to rapidly bring together the information that a business owner needs or a senior manager needs to make the right decisions, put it in the context that they need, and they can do it rapidly without having to go search the market for a ton of applications. So we've got a lot of great applications in our accelerator portfolio, but Mendix is the one that fills the gaps, right? And I think it provides a capability for the IT folks on the call here to really be heroes inside their organizations.
Yeah, it's like the glue, the cement between
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, one other comment, of course. If you see domains that haven't been discussed today, it's a low-code platform. So starting from scratch on a different domain, a different use case, is the bread and butter of the platform, as well as the services that we offer. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we have about 16, 17 minutes left. Yetro, can you walk us through one of the templates before we start to wrap it up?
Definitely. So this is a demo application out of this. It's based on our meter data management system. So that entire platform is underneath what you're seeing now. So there's data, energy data being gathered all the time. And what this application does, which is built with Mendix, it gets the data out of the system and it shows it to our end user. So in this fictional example, we are a shop owner. We have actually 3 shops. And what I want to know is, how are my shops doing from an energy efficiency standpoint? So right here, I see some real-time data coming in, but I also see other things like the energy usage over the last few hours. I can here see my baseline consumption, so how much energy am I using when even I turn off all my machines. We can detect this in the data. But I also see other things like weather information, which of course can be relevant in terms of how my energy consumption is doing. So our platform is actually what we call multi-source in. So we can combine, of course, all these different data streams. So it's not only data from your smart meter, it can be weather data, it can be data from any other assets like boilers or heating pumps or air conditioning units, which can all be combined to give you an holistic picture of how your building or your shop or your household is behaving. What we do with Mendix, and that's why we love Mendix so much, we can create all kinds of different, let's say, insights in this information. So we can look at the data from different angles, and then we can say, well, my page is reloading. We can say, well, let's visualize the data in different ways. So we're not only stuck with one type of graph and one type of way of visualizing it, and we can also connect all kinds of workflows to it. So you can see it will reload.
And Mendix is full stack development, right? Yeah. So it's both the UI layer as well as the logic and the data model on the back end.
Yeah, definitely. It's full stack, so you can build the backend, you can build your integrations, your workflows, also your desktop and mobile applications. So it's really about using all of these different ways of interacting with your customer to make these insights happen. I do still have a problem with spotty internet connection, I think.
Yeah, there's a delay here as well.
Yeah, it's not so good here today.
The disadvantage of working from home. In terms of making this data, so I see the visualizations. What do you see in terms of actionable items, right? Creating the workflows, even if you see certain errors or you see certain excessive data amounts or, for instance, losses. What do you see in terms of follow-up and next steps?
Yeah, so what we do is we analyze the data and we can get all kinds of insights out of it. Well, it's too bad this page doesn't load because you could see the predictions. So let me try again while I talk. So what we can do is we can use the insights we get out of the data to, for example, with Mendix, kick off workflows. So here is an example. Let's say you prepay a certain amount of energy for your energy every month, but from the data we are learning that you are using more energy, than we predicted you will use in the past. So your monthly fee may be too high or too low. Look, here we go. So you have the predictions. We can say we have an actionable insight for you. For example, here we see that you're using less than your prepayment. So we predict if this goes on like this towards the future, we predict that you can reduce your monthly fee. Here you see the prediction with a certain amount. And based on that, we can help the customers doing some kind of self-service in these apps. We integrate this application then with the ERP or the financial or CRM system. And we proactively tell customers, based on your data, you should reduce your monthly fee, or based on your data, you should buy solar panels, or so those type of insights you can generate. That's for the customers, for the end users. But for utilities companies, we do things like look, we see here that you have a customer with 10 shops, and we see he has 3 shops which are using significantly more energy than the others. Maybe you need to adjust your pricing strategy, or maybe you need to buy your energy in a different way. So there is all these kinds of information hidden inside the data, which we use for different, let's say, target audiences in different ways with different Mendix apps.
Yeah. So for instance, your monthly fee for June, that functionality there's complete logic and workflow behind it that can even be connected to several other rules engines in Mendix or even outside of Mendix from external data sources.
Yeah, well, so for example, if you say apply my new fee, you can send it to your CRM system or your billing engine, which can adjust automatically everything, which makes sure that which saves off a lot of manual labor and reduces, for example, the load on call centers, because that's where a lot of money goes to from many companies. Because now we can do this all through apps, through self-service components.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to show us today, or perhaps otherwise we can set up some one-on-ones with people that are interested in seeing more of these templates?
Yeah, we will also definitely mail you the video of these demos as well, as right now the internet connection is spotty. So we'll make sure you get to see them in full anyways.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. Let me see. Can you make me presenter again, or? I think I
sure. Let's see. I think you can present now.
Okay. Great. So we walked through all these use cases, and again, we'll send you an email for those attending today with all the different templates and videos that are online. In the interest of time, let's start to wrap it up. So in terms of what TimeSeries can offer and offers to customers as well as prospective customers, one, rapid delivery of custom smart apps. These are not only Mendix templated apps, but also applications from scratch. So if you have ideas, if you see certain domains where you would like to start, let's have that conversation. We also offer pilot packages, even starting around $30,000 to start. So really low entry, low barriers to start. The second element is it's not only Siemens and TimeSeries delivering your applications, but also completely supporting your own center of excellence. So if you want to train your own team in Mendix, if you want to set up architectural workshops, or even simply doing checks around your existing applications and Mendix applications, we've got a complete program around this that you can utilize. And to John's point earlier, there's over 250 years of accumulated experience here, which is a lot. So please do use that. And then lastly, for those software vendors or services vendors that are already using Mendix or are thinking about using Mendix, please, let's collaborate, right? You have certain domain knowledge. We are specialized in Mendix. We would love to work together to offer your customer something unique. So let's wrap it up. Right now, you've got an introduction about TimeSeries. You've heard about Siemens in the energy industry and the business challenges and the trends in the industry. John, thank you for sharing that. Yetro, the one part is if people are interested in these templates, where do they start and how can they start fast?
Yeah, so what we do is if there are templates that are of interest to our customers, we do a fit gap analysis where we say, well, how much does this template fit with what you need, and how much do you want to have different or want to add or stuff like that. Based on that, we can create an offer saying, oh, this is the amount of money which it costs, and then we do a design sprint and a kickoff, and we start from there. And because this is Mendix, we really like to work in an agile way. So our first go live is typically in a few weeks later. And then we iterate on top of that, gathering first-hand experience from end users. So it's really about the speed of it all.
Yep, great. John, do you have anything to add in terms of the templates and the domains, and even from your own experience, past experience with companies, so not from a Siemens perspective, but companies you've worked for, Where do you see the value for these companies to starting?
Well, it's interesting, and as I said earlier, I've been in a number of different roles in a number of different places. What I love about the data world is that data flows through digital enterprises, and just like water flowing in a river, that water has potential energy. The data in our enterprises has potential value. You just have to figure out a way to harness it. And especially when you bring it back to what we're going through with COVID and the economy and what's going to happen in the months and maybe even years to come, I don't recall ever seeing an opportunity where a tool set, whether somebody like TimeSeries is helping a company develop applications to solve a specific problem, or whether organizations learn the core skill set themselves. I don't recall seeing an opportunity where IT can. I hate to use the cavalry analogy because I think it's old, but IT has the ability to really influence the business, and the business needs all of the value that's flowing through its organization, and it needs it rapidly. And the digitalization, and why I took everybody through the trends in energy and utilities. And I know here's another trend slide, but really digitalization is changing so much of what we do. And there's so much data out there. Customers are challenged, all customers, and even at Siemens, right? We're challenged to how do we make sure that we're getting full value of what we already know? We just need to bring it together and apply it in a way that either helps us or helps our customers. And I think the things that we've talked about on this this webinar are so valuable right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well said, John. Actually, a few questions came in specifically. So you mentioned around the smart metering, several customers, Yetro. To what extent is this scalable? So what type of volumes? I think you mentioned it, but maybe you can highlight that. What type of
Yeah.
volumes do you see?
Yeah, we have small customers which are employing a couple of thousand or a couple of 10,000 smart meters. But our bigger customers, they have millions of smart meters in our solution without any problem. That's because this is at the core of what we do. We found at TimeSeries with this idea of let's build this IoT platform using all kinds of open source standards, leveraging technology which is out there in a really good, smart way. So it's highly scalable. It's cloud native. It's all been designed to run on cloud nodes to scale horizontally. So we don't have this legacy thing which other companies may have because they come from this older fashion, really hardware world and try to make it to the cloud. No, we were born in the cloud. That's what we do, right? So it's for us, it's all about scalability at its core. So we have not yet came to a point, even with millions and millions of smart meters, that there was an actual problem with performance or scalability.
Yeah, and they're through enterprise solutions and frameworks,
yes.
right? Including
small customers.
Exactly, including Mendix. Integration capabilities. Actually, I saw two questions somewhat related to each other. We've spoken about using Mendix as that layer on top of those backend systems. How does Mendix integrate? What are some of the scenarios? Can you take a minute there, Yetro, to provide more insight?
Sorry, can you repeat what you were dropping away?
Yeah, so there's two questions related to integration. How does Mendix integrate?
Capabilities of Mendix.
Yeah? Yes.
Yeah. So Mendix out of the box can integrate, has as a feature to integrate with REST or SOAP services, obviously, the industry standards. That's by default, and also with OData. But it also comes with a bunch, like a lot of pre-packaged connectors, which out of the box encapsulate, for example, authorization flows, data models, all of that stuff to integrate with backend systems. So there is a core connector for SAP, for example, which is really closely aligned with the SAP R&D teams. And they use it to connect to various different SAP systems, of course, including S4HANA. So that's an example. There's also a connector for MindSphere, the IoT platform of Siemens. There's connectivity out of the box for Teamcenter. So Mendix is an app store in which you can basically search whatever system you have, and you will probably see many out of the box connectors there, like for our example, our own IoT platform as well. But If the connector isn't there, then you can drop down to using native REST or SOAP to do the integration. And if even that doesn't work, you can build this from custom as well. So there are many capabilities, but usually this is not a problem. And it's really fast. It's not like you have to code for weeks like you were used to in the past to do integration. No, it's a matter of days, sometimes even hours.
Yeah. And a lot of these integrations, because we see repeatability, things like Teamcenter, SAP, but even also OpCenter, right? We've done integrations, and therefore we build modules that people can reuse in their projects. So if there are any integration questions, please connect with us. All right, well, I know we're on top of the hour. So I would like to thank our speakers. John, as always, pleasure having you and sharing your energy experience from a Siemens value perspective, but also from your experience being actually at an energy company in your previous job. So thank you very much, John.
Yeah, my pleasure, Vince.
Yep, Yetro, thank you for your time as well. Always a pleasure seeing the demos and seeing and hearing your projects that you work on. Per your point, the internet was a little bit spotty, so we will share the links to the demos in an email. And finally, of course, a big thank you to the audience today. We hope you found this valuable insight. And if you have any ideas, thoughts, questions, please do reach out. Our website is timeseries.com, but please feel free to reach out to Mendix or your Siemens reps as well if you have any questions. I'm your host, Vincent de Lamar. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you during one of our next webinars. Thank you all.